I don't think I have anything really to read for the next 30 minutes. So 20 minutes. So anybody want to hear a funny talk time?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Funny talk time.
Once upon a time, Caleb was in high school. And Caleb took a class called ecology.
It's a good story. I like this one.
Her ecology teacher was really awesome. He was the kind of guy who liked making jokes and playing pranks. And, for example, he had a farm, like, out in the country. And one day, some of his students actually went and kidnapped a goat from his farm. And somehow snuck it into the school so that it was running around the school. And had to be caught.
Was this a zombie goat?
No.
Oh.
At least I don't think so. I wasn't there for the goat to be captured. But, he was the kind of guy who could, laugh at that and find it hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
However, there was another teacher, I shall not name names, he eventually became a vice principal, that was the exact opposite. He was the very serious, no-nonsense type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, he might have liked some jokes or something, but in a school full of teenagers, nobody saw him ever crack a smile or anything. So, of course, he was the prime candidate to have the ecology teacher play a joke on him.
Mm-hmm.
And the ecology teacher is like, I will tell you what I've been doing to this guy if you promise to keep your mouth shut about it. And we're all like, yeah, well, we won't mention anything.
Sure.
He's like, because the joke hasn't fully played out yet, but I'm setting it up. So, basically, what had been going on is for like a month, he has been doing like these little things to annoy this very serious teacher. He called Shoney's for some reason and basically reserved the entire restaurant for a morning, for a couple of hours to have a business luncheon or a breakfast or something like that. The entire Shoney's restaurant. And gave them, of course, this other teacher's number. And they actually called him when nobody showed up after this whole restaurant had been reserved. And were like, well, where are you and your, people? And, so he had to straighten that out. And of course, he didn't know who had done that. And I'm sure had he figured out it was the ecology teacher, he wouldn't be too happy. So anyway, as far as anybody knew, that business had been settled between the serious teacher and Shoney's. However, somehow, the ecology teacher acquired a blank piece of paper, an official piece of paper with the Shoney's logo all over it. So he was going to write up a letter and then print it out to mail to the serious teacher that even though Shoney actually wasn't going to be making him pay for all their time wasted, instead he was going to basically forge the note and say that he owed so much money, and then he was going to let that play out. However, and now I'm gonna have to explain something else here in a minute. He said, instead of the actual phone number for Shoney's, I'm going to put the phone number for the Mouse's Ear. Now I have to explain what the Mouse's Ear is.
Is it another restaurant, or?
It's a strip club.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's a very well-known strip club around here. And I never heard the conclusion of what happened. I could only assume that the very serious teacher probably was highly embarrassed and probably threatened to kill whoever was pulling these jokes on him. And that's the end of that story. It was funnier when it happened, okay?
Well,
because you have to understand this teacher he was picking on. He's just kind of not really a douche, but he's just kind of a stick in the mud, and you just couldn't really be friendly with him.
A mud douche.
So,
yes.
I do security work as part of my make money job. Kassie, you still have yet to pay us. But the other day, working at my shack, and I work on a dock, and I had a guy come up, this big burly guy, and he says, "Hey, is it okay if I have this pig head that I brought with me from Florida that I want to toss into the water and let the crabs eat all the flesh out of it so that I have a pig skull. Will that be fine?" I told him as long as he did it and he didn't do it on our property, I guess that's fine. So he did that, and I saw where he took the line to where he tied it to the fence so he could find the head again. I have yet to go and see if the head it's not just a drop bag for cocaine or something like that, but fully expect I don't want to pull on the bag because the line because I don't want to see this like severed pig skull with half its flesh and maybe an eyeball or two left.
Maybe that's when you call the police and ask them to check it out.
Yeah, I think that's probably
I'd
true.
like somebody just to come by and just, like, I don't know if it's an actual emergency or anything, but just to make sure it's what the guy says it is and not like something more questionable.
And then there's probably also an ecology factor. Introducing pork into the Puget Sound probably is not a good idea. But,
so now I'm wondering how in the hell did he acquire this pig head
and
why he brought it from Florida.
Now, I don't know if you thought the same thing I did, but the first time he said, "Oh, I've got this pig head that I brought from Florida," my first thought was, pig is a slang word for cop, and there's going to be a human skull.
Uh-oh.
Well, if that's the case, then the cops really do need to be called. But
probably. I will keep you informed on what happens with the pig skull.
Okay.
But that's not the worst thing to happen. The worst, I guess, is I was working in my shack, and I look up, and there's this guy. It's just me. I work. It's in the middle of the night, and there's this guy looking at me. He is holding on to a toaster, and he's wearing a clown mask. He stares at me, I stare at him, and then I point in the opposite direction. He turns around and walks away, and I proceed to shit my pants.
And it's one of those situations, for him, where he's kind of drunk. It's been one of those weird, strange parties, and he just ended up in a clown mask with a toaster, and then he realizes he's in a bad place at a bad time.
Now, I have escorted a number of drunks off of the site. The most memorable was I got a call from the tower, the client side upstairs, and they said that somebody was laying down on the railway tracks. So I had to go and tell him to get lost. So I come up and I see him lying down on the railroad tracks. I ask him, "What the hell are you doing?" He says, "I'm waiting for a train to run me over." And I said, "You're not going to do that." And he said, "Why?" "Because I have to clean up the mess. Now get the fuck up." And he said, "Oh, I didn't know you had to clean it. I'll get up." So after that, he was pleasant. Escorted him off. He told me all about his friend John F. Kennedy. You might have heard of him, and what he was up to nowadays. And then he pissed his pants, standing upright. Right next to me, pissed his pants. And, yeah. Now, in addition to security, lately I've been doing a little Uber driving as well. And there's been only a couple interesting stories. It hasn't been too bad yet. One, so I picked up this drunk guy who wanted me to take him to his girlfriend's house. And we were driving. He wanted to listen to he was one of those guys that asks you if it's okay to do something while he's doing it. He says, "Is it okay if I drink this beer in your car?" And as I'm saying no, I hear the can crack. And he starts going, but he had his phone. He wanted to hear his music, and I had it aligned to my radio. So being a good driver, I offered to play his music on the radio. He said, "Thanks, bro, you're the best." And he plugs his phone, the head jack into the phone. He's listening to his tunes, and after a while, he looks at me and he says, "Hey man, your charger doesn't work."
Speaking of riding people around, my brother is a cab driver at the moment. And the other day, maybe like a few weeks ago, he was taking this one guy, and I hate to be stereotypical with some things, but this guy was in fact Mexican.
Okay.
And he was picking him up from work, I think, and taking him home. And the guy legitly did not have enough cash to pay for his ride. So apparently he decided to give my brother like homemade tamales that he happened, to have in his house.
I would love to be paid with tamales.
Well, I said, I like tamales too, but I don't think your boss is going to really like that. And my brother's like, well, I really shouldn't have, but, the guy, I saw him go through his wallet and his pockets and things. He's like, he really didn't have the money, and he's like, I like tamales, so I took them, but I did tell him to, next time make sure that, he had the money to pay for the ride. And I'm like, well, don't you have to go through something like that with your boss? And Kelvin's like, nah, I just took it out of the money he owed me, and the boss got all of his money. And I'm like, okay. So then my brother brings them to me and hands them to me, and I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with them. I can't even get into my kitchen. I put them in the fridge because I could make it at least that far. And then he just kind of stands there. He's like, well, are you going to eat them? And I'm like, well, no, I can't cook it or anything right now. I got a whole bunch of crap I got to put back in the apartment. And I just can't really, cook anything unless it's super quick, because I could at least reach the microwave. And so he got them back out of the fridge and then left with them. And I'm just like, okay, whatever.
So I have two other stories. Do you want to hear the first time, my first day as a security guard or first day as Uber? Because there's an interesting story for each.
And those both sound really good.
Okay. All right. Well, my first day at security, just out of high school, I was planning to follow my old man into the army, but the thickness of my glasses kept me away from that. So security work it was. And my first job was guarding a construction site with this other guy. We'll call him Tim. And so it was just me and Tim in this tiny shack for most of the night. And Tim turns to me and he says, hey, do you want to talk about religion? And I said, oh, okay. That's fine. I'm interested in theology. Let's see what Tim has to say. And he says, you know who God is, don't you? And I said, oh, yeah, I think. He says, he's not a guy with a beard or, a robe or living on a cloud. I said, no, of course. That's just a symbol, that sort of thing. And he says, yeah. And you know who the devil is, right? And I try and jump ahead of him and I say, yeah, he's not a guy with a pitchfork, a tail and horns. And Tim says, yeah, that's right. It's the Jews. And it's just,
okay.
Yeah.
So me and Tim didn't start off well.
I could understand why.
And that started like 8 years in the same shack with that guy for 8 hours out of each night.
Oh my.
We had our problems. Not quite as entertaining the first Uber day. My last ride of the day brought me to Gig Harbor, which was across a toll bridge. And I have to pay the toll. Uber doesn't pick that up. We're supposed to get it back in the fares. But I come over to the guy's house, and I'm like, I traveled for like 30 minutes to get here. And I better be like taking him to the airport of Seattle or something. I better be getting a good fare. No, he just wants to drive 2 blocks because he doesn't want to walk in the rain to go to get his go to the marijuana supplier to pick up his stash and then drive him back home. It was raining out. He didn't want to walk.
Wow.
I said,
okay.
That's it for today. I'll go back to the.
The love of the pot is strong.
It's probably.
My story, it takes 1 minute.
Okay.
like 4 days ago at Petco, I was buying crickets, and I ended up telling the employee that was helping me and this random lady that walked up that I eat babies sometimes. And I'm not going to give you any context. If you want context, donate to Operation Nina, and I will tell you why I told somebody that I eat babies, and I will tell you their reaction as well.
That reminds me of the time I was at my uncle's. I don't remember if it was Christmas or something else we were doing, and I just some of the people on my dad's side of the family are not very good people. Sometimes they're into drugs and other things, but they still come around and say hi and stuff sometimes, but they got their problems. And I was telling my brother about a part of a video game I was playing where you are falsely accused of a murder. And basically you have to, while you're stuck in prison, you have to figure out who framed you and why and get out. Or bad things, of course, will happen to you in prison, like death.
Oh,
And yeah, and so when you go to your first retrial, your lawyer gives you the option to either wait in the room or, because apparently you really have to go pee, go all, apparently it's absurdly far away to go and use the restrooms. And, if you choose to stay in the room, your lawyer will leave for a short time. Now, your lawyer also tells you that any moment, the judge might call for you to appear before him, so it's really important that you stay in the room and wait. Of course, that doesn't really explain why he goes and fucks off and leaves for a bit, but anyway, so you're just like, whatever. But if you choose to leave and go to the bathroom, it's true, it does take you a while to get there and then come back because it's pretty far away. However, your lawyer is, let's just say he's caught with his pants down and there's a woman there,
giving him legal advice.
Yes,
His paralegals.
giving her legal advice while she is on her knees. And so that was a thing I was telling my brother about in the game I was playing. And this particular cousin, who is not okay with the law, overhears, the end of this conversation where I'm talking about, the lawyer is there with his pants down, and she just looks at me and she's like, "You had a lawyer do that to you?" And I'm just like, no, I'm talking about a video game.
I do that every day.
No.
Every day.
Because she really believed it. She's like, lawyers would do that shit. And I'm like, I don't know. I've never been around anybody who was anything less than professional, but I'll take your word on that.
So, what game was that this happened in?
Yeah, just out of curiosity. It's not like we're gonna go look it up or anything. But
well, you probably can't get it anyway. It's a boys' love visual novel. Called ON5, Falsely Accused.
Okay.
It was filled with typos, and the people who brought it over also brought over Absolute Obedience, which was a horrible story, by the way. If you ever see somebody actually selling that, don't buy it.
I think I've watched that movie,
game.
Absolute Obedience.
No, this was a
lots
game.
of leather.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
Well, it basically what Absolute Obedience involves is that apparently this takes place in Germany, I think.
Of course it does.
It sounds right, yeah.
Yeah. I think it might have been during the Nazi party reign,
And we
but
come
anyway.
full circle.
Yes. And the two main characters, and you can pick which one to be, and then you have a series of tasks you have to do. They're a part of the military, but apparently they are a secret part of the military. Nobody's supposed to know that part of the military exists. Basically, what their job is they are hired to basically rape / have sex with / manipulate or something like that.
Yeah, we
other
did see the
people
same.
at the at the request of whoever is paying them to do so. But you have to be careful in how you go about it, because some of the characters that you pursue will actually turn the tables and rape you.
Ah.
While if you complete one story, you might lock other stories, and so you couldn't complete the whole routes.
Mm-hmm. Are you trying to interject, Nina?
By the
I'm
way,
sorry. Go ahead. Never mind.
Nina's mom
I think she was just listening, and I was just like, what the crap.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, Absolute Obedience was a crap game. I did like Inzai. That was a pretty good story, I thought.
Alright, well, thank you guys so much for being here. We have had a blast, and I'm so glad that you guys are going to be back again later in the week. So
yes, we'll be back Friday night at the same time, hopefully with at least $300 donated, because if you get the donation total up to $300, we will be reading Chapter 3 of Twilight. If you make it to 400, we will do Chapter 4 of 50 Shades of Grey.
Alrighty, so now let's hand it over to the wonderful Midnight Ride. Have a good time, everybody, and see you guys later.
Bye. Noise.
Enjoy the ride.
boy.